highway stretched ahead, an endless ribbon of dark asphalt cutting through dense forest. Jenna shivered as she gazed into the encroaching night, feeling horribly exposed standing alone by her broken-down car. At least in town she had a chance, but out here... She swept her light along the road, hoping desperately to spot another vehicle. Nothing but emptiness responded. Her phone had no reception deep in the woods. Taking a steadying breath, Jenna hefted her mostly empty backpack and walked a few paces to flag down any passing cars. The minutes dragged by with still no sign of help. This was a nightmare. Jenna cursed herself for procrastinating on car repairs, dooming her to break down in the worst possible location. How long until some Teranget madman stumbled upon her defenseless? She almost jumped out of her skin when sudden headlights appeared in the distance. Jenna flung her arms up desperately, calling out as the car slowed to a stop a short way ahead. "Can I offer you a ride?" An elderly man rolled down the passenger window and leaned over with a kindly smile. "It's not safe to be out here alone at night." Jenna hesitated, wary yet desperate. When his van door clicked unlocked in invitation, she reluctantly made her decision. What choice did she have but to take a chance? Jenna slid into the passenger seat with murmured thanks, glancing around for any sign of threat as the man introduced himself as Bob and pulled back onto the highway. The interior smelled uncomfortably of stale cigarette smoke, and fast food wrappers littered the floorboard. But Bob appeared non-threatening, a soft-spoken, grandfatherly type, offering Jenna a bottle of water. She accepted gratefully, pretending not to notice when he watched her every move out of the corner of his eye. As they drove, Bob asked casual questions about her breakdown to put her at ease. "Headed into town for a mechanic, I hope?" He nodded understandingly at her situation. "Good thing I came along when I did, before things got nasty out there in the dark." Jenna hummed in agreement, only half listening, as she surreptitiously took stock of her surroundings. The van's back was packed full of boxes and gear obscuring her view. If there was any weapon within reach, she couldn't spot it. For now, she would play along and learn what she could, but at the first sign of danger, Jenna vowed to flee. Bob's queries gradually took a disturbing turn as the ride stretched on. "So, what's a pretty girl like you doing alone on these lonely roads?" His grin took on an ulishin that chilled Jenna to her core. She clutched her phone in her lap, determined not to show fear no matter what. "Just trying to get home," Jenna replied neutrally, sending a text to her friend Erica under cover of darkness. "Help Lone Highway, this guy is creepy." She hit send discreetly, hoping Erica would be awake and could track her location. Bob pressed harder. "How come nobody's worried about their poor damsel in distress?" His hand drifted towards Jenna's thigh, and she recoiled in disgust, shrinking against the passenger door. "Aw, don't be that way, darling. Old Bob just wants to keep you company." Jenna stared straight ahead, heart pounding as she tapped another message. "Hurry, I don't know what he'll do." She'd stayed alive this long, oozing her wits. There had to be a way out of this alive too. When Bob noticed her surreptitious texting, his amiable act vanished like a puff of smoke. His next words came out in a vicious snarl. "Give me that phone before I..." Jenna reacted instantly, punching Bob with one hand while shoving open the unlocked door with the other. She tumbled out onto the speeding highway, scraping skin and tearing clothes, but somehow managing to roll clear of the speeding tires. Pain shooting through her, Jenna lurched to her feet and sprinted into the surrounding woods as headlights swung to track her escape. Bob's enraged shouts echoed behind. gasping, Jenna plunged headlong into the dense forest, winding desperately between the close-grown trees. Please, let there be somewhere to hide, a chance to disappear until help arrived. Crunching footsteps gained on her, branches snapping as her pursuer followed mercilessly into the darkness. She tore through brambles, dodging low-hanging limbs with arms thrown over her face. A thick root caught her foot, and Jenna crashed hard to the leaf-strewn ground. Rolling onto her back, she kicked out frantically and connected with something solid, buying herself enough time to scramble up and flee again, limping. The footsteps paused, then resumed, closing in. Behind her, Bob's rasping breath came nearer. Jenna stumbled blindly, blinded by fear and pain, every sense honed to detect the tracker hunting her in the blackness. Her foot twisted on loose dirt, and she pitched forward, landing hard. This time she wouldn't rise as easily. Sobbing, Jenna pulled herself into a ball, awaiting the inevitable brutal end alone in the dark. Then, a blaring siren cut through the night, growing rapidly louder. Headlights flashed through the trees as a police cruiser flew down the highway in pursuit of something. Jenna screamed at the top of her lungs, desperate to attract attention, to survive just a little longer. Through the tree line, she spotted the blue and red assaulting her vision. Struggling upright with a scream, Jenna waved her arms frantically. The cruiser slammed on its brakes, tossing up dead leaves and fallen pine needles as two officers leapt out with weapons drawn. Please, help me. Jenna swayed on her feet, vision swimming as shouts rang out through the woods announcing their arrival. Darkness swept over her like a blanket. The last thing she felt was gentle arms catching her limp form before unconsciousness claimed her battered body at last. Jenna drifted back to consciousness slowly, awareness returning in pieces. Soft sheets enveloped her sore body, the stale odor of antiseptic stinging her nostrils. Her eyes fluttered open to an unfamiliar sterile room bathed in pale dawn light. A groan escaped her parched throat as memories flooded back. Bob's predatory leer twisting into stark rage, tumbling through the night onto the unforgiving highway, fleeing for her life through the merciless woods. Had it all been a terrible dream? No, the aches wreathing her limbs assured her it was only too real. Her racing thoughts stilled at the sound of movement. A male figure emerged from the gloom, clad in blue uniform with creased brow and weary eyes. "Easy now, you're safe." He smiled kindly, and Jenna recognized him as one of the officers who'd saved her in the woods. "Deputy Marcus, can you tell me your name?" Her voice came out cracked and hoarse. "Jenna." Swallowing painfully, she summarized what little she recalled from the nightmare ride. The deputy nodded, expression grim. "I'm afraid your ordeal isn't over yet. That man vanished into the woods, but we won't stop hunting until he's brought to justice." As if on cue, the door banged open to admit another harried police officer and a frantic young woman with tangled blonde hair and tear-stained cheeks. "Jenna!" Erica hurtled to the bedside, embracing her battered friend softly with a wail. Over Erica's shoulder, Jenna glimpsed the badge of the stern-faced cop waiting patiently by the door. "Detective Weston, we need your statement as soon as you're ready." His tone brooked no argument, yet sympathy lingered in weary gray eyes. Erica composed herself, sitting vigil at Jenna's side to explain how her cryptic texts had prompted an all-points bulletin resulting in the miraculous rescue. Detective Weston soon took over the somber interview, outlining the unfolding manhunt in progress even now through the dense forest and marshy wetlands surrounding the lonely highway. Jenna recounted every horrific detail of her ordeal with detached precision, clinging tightly to Erica's hand as the harrowing memories overwhelmed her. By the time she finished, Her throat burned raw, and eyes streamed freely once more. Yet somehow retelling the tale had brought a measure of catharsis, for now she was safe, surrounded by those sworn to protect, while the predator remained loose in the wilds. But Jenna shuddered to think what Bob might do if cornered, and what he was perhaps doing even now in the hunter's absence. They had to find him, and fast, before any other innocent souls fell prey. In the coming days, Jenna recuperated slowly, mind spinning with possibilities for bringing Bob to heel. When at last released from the hospital under Erica's care, she requested a meeting with Detective Weston. The formidable lawman had taken a personal interest in her cause, and Jenna meant to enlist his aid however she could. "I want to help catch this monster," she stated firmly upon their next meeting in his Spartan office. Weston studied her over steepled fingers, assessing. "We've turned up no trace thus far in the search grid. The forest is vast, and your attacker knows it well to evade us so far." Jenna leaned forward intently. "Please allow me to consult. I understand him better than anyone after our encounter. Together, perhaps we can outthink him." The detective considered a long moment before nodding once, curtly. "Very well. But you follow my lead without question. Is that clear?" His gruff protectiveness warmed. Jenna's heart despite herself. At last, she had purpose again, and a true ally in the mission to bring justice. From that day onward, she immersed herself in poring over case details, mapping the known terrain, and piecing together Bob's persona and probable whereabouts based on her ordeal. Jenna's intuition proved invaluable to steering the expanded manhunt. Soon clues began emerging fitfully from the dense wilderness, scraps of clothing, patches of disturbed earth, the lingering stench of cigarette smoke carried by breeze. Bob was clever in covering his tracks, but not perfect, and he was rapidly running out of safe havens as the net closed tighter with each discovery. One fateful afternoon, scouts spotted telltale widening of a game trail into a sheltered depression just beyond the search grid's perimeter. Weston called for backup, then ventured forward alone, wielding only his radio. Jenna and Erica watched anxiously from the command post as silence descended over the open channel. Minuties dragged by with no word. Then a burst of furious thrashing erupted in the undergrowth, followed by Weston's garbled shouts over static. Gunfire rattled the tranquil forest glade, birds exploding en masse into the pearly sky in a rush of fluttering wings. A scream rent the air, primal and agonized, ending abruptly. Jenna and Erica clung to each other, scarcely daring to hope even as reinforcements charged into the fray with weapons drawn. At long last, Weston's rumbling voice crackled over the radio. "Suspect is down! I repeat, suspect is down! Send medics and coroner! It's over!" Sobbing in relief, the friends embraced tightly as cheers rang out across the encampment. At last, true justice had been served, and with it, a measure of long-awaited peace. All that remained was tying up loose ends, helping survivors find closure through the legal process sure to follow. Jenna returned to the eerily still forest clearing beside Weston, regarding the shrouded form on the leaf litter with mingled pity and satisfaction. There lay the monster who'd tried destroying her spirit as well as her mortal form. Vanquished at last by her persistence and the dedicated lawman's steel resolve. She had faced down her demons and emerged shining on the other side. In the coming dawn light, Jenna walked tall beside Erica, away from that haunted place, ready to embrace a bright new chapter. Those scars lingered, her survival instincts had been awakened, and with them, an unquenchable fire. No darkness would ever consume her flames again. The future lay open and full of promise, if only she had the strength to grasp it. This was only the beginning. Thanks for listening to this story. Put a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new stories.